So it's not often I get to do videos like this, where I don't have to use night vision, I don't have to use ghost tube, I don't have to use any specialist equipment, I don't even need a torch. Videos like this are so easy to make, like I mentioned before, so it's just nice to make it this. Oh shite! Yeah, that's fucking a bit deep, that one, I thought so. Yeah, nearly fucking... I better walk up this way. I don't know why that's so wet. I think it's because obviously there's water running down. Definitely don't want to end up in... Look at that. All that would be submerged usually. Welcome to Baitings Dam. So this location has actually been on the news recently, and it was talking about the droughts and the water levels from this location and Baitings Dam, but I think there's a couple of reservoirs actually throughout the country that are like this now. So I want to show you some footage from the past and actually a bigger picture of the reservoir itself. So when the water levels are normal, this is what you usually see. The water comes up to the concrete openings in the dam and then falls down into... I'll use the word an outlet, and it goes down to another reservoir. You can just see it in the distance. You'll see it again in the distance, that reservoir. But this is what this process usually looks like. So this is my second visit here, and when the water levels come down and just like a drought, if you want to see, you can see the historical features from the past and what this area once was used for. So in this video, you can see this is from this year actually, it's maybe from about 3-4 months ago, where the water levels have dropped down. And there's features, if you can see them, if you know what you're looking for, because this dam was built in 1954, and it used to be used for a racetrack, which you can probably see some of the features. Welcome to another video. So today's video is a little bit different. Actually, you can see the sun is shining. I thought I'd get like the last bit of summer in one of my videos, because just before summer there was like I was doing like numerous fucking videos in the winter. So I'm at Baitings Dam. I think I've got that right. This is about 7 miles from where I live, and the reason why I'm here is because the water levels dropped so low. Now I've seen it in the news. There's been so many news clippings about this area and this dam really. So we're gonna have a look at it. Have a look at the water levels. I've been here once before, but I don't think the water is as bad as it is now. So I've got some footage from before. So if you don't know where I am, I'm in Halifax, or on the way to Halifax. So you could call it Halifax Rochdale border, or you could just call it Halifax. Depends where you're from, really. So we'll have a look at this dam. I'll show you around, and yeah, just some good stuff to see in this video. So it's a different video than usual. So this is where we are for today's video, just outside Halifax, on the border of Halifax Rochdale. This is going to sound weird, this, but I have to narrate and do a voiceover because the wind's quite bad, and it's that bad. And in periods, I can't play the audio, so I'm gonna have to narrate through what you're seeing in this in the video. So this is arrival across the way that you can get to the dam. Usually, there's a right turn off from the main road, and it takes you across this bridge, and then that Packhorse trail there. You can't usually see that; it's usually submerged, and that's just what I'm pointing at there. And that's just true historic masterpiece, if you ask me, as it's still withstood the test of time with being submerged all these years. So obviously you can see the water levels have significantly dropped. I mean, that's I mean, I don't know much about water levels and stuff like that, but I have been here before and I have seen when the water level's at maximum. So I would say that's critically low, if you ask me. There's no other way to describe it, and I just don't know where all the water's gone, to be honest. No, I don't think that's like to lose water like that. I mean, this has happened before because I was here. I think it was 2022 doing the same video, more or less showing the water levels that have dropped so low. So, I mean, I don't know why the water levels have dropped so low here. I mean, I'm sure there's a logic. I'm not one for ignoring safety signs, so I'm going to read this, but I am going to ignore it. Actually, I'll show you what this sign says. So obviously, please do not walk across or use any exposed structures. These structures may be made unsafe, walls submerged, and may pose a risk to any user's safety. Yeah? So the gate's actually open. So if you wanted to get a bike, there's nothing really stopping you from pushing that gate open and start racing your bike around there, because this used to be a racetrack. There's history of a racetrack here, and that's why you can see some of the features of it from a higher shot, if that makes sense. So this is great, this is what this location offers. It offers a modern day bridge next to what I would assume to be maybe a 10th, 11th century bridge, if not before, but I'm only spectating that. It looks to be like maybe Roman age. Maybe the Romans made it, I'm not sure. But it looks to be that case with the way it's constructed. But I'm just talking about the water levels here, the natural water levels that you can usually see. You can see the markings, and I'm anticipating the water levels up to the vegetation point there usually. So let's have a look at the both masterpieces really, because they're both bridges obviously from two different eras that I'm just pointing to there. Now that's obviously designed a lot more modern to take heavy goods vehicle, I would have thought. Now there's a big weight limit difference between both bridges. You wouldn't want to take a boom wagon over that, because you can only imagine a lot of weight would probably destroy that bridge. So, but the bridges weren't designed for that really. They were designed for a horse and cart really. So the way them bridges have been constructed, like the older ones, is magnificent. Different to the ones we are looking at now, more or less in that last camera shot. Now, what I find interesting about this Packhorse trail is that archway that's been carved right through, obviously where the water's going now. Now, I don't know how they would have done that back in the day. I've got no idea, because I don't think a stone and chisel would have done that, because it's done with supreme marksmanship, if you ask me. It's just perfect the way they've done it, and they've just burrowed right through with, it seems to be perfect alignment, if that makes sense. But this also gives another shot of where the water levels are up to now compared to that video I showed you before of the drone flying over. There's a big difference here, and you can see that. So here I'm just explaining the water would be submerged here usually. Obviously from my early description from when I first walked down, and I'm just trying to point out the water levels on the highest point of the bridge, where my finger was then usually. That's just what I'm guessing, and it's mad how much water's gone from this area. It's just, so I won't say it's strange by any means. There'll be a logical explanation where this water's going, but I mean the locals, like for me, should be asking like, actually, what you doing about? Is this going to get filled back up? Because I know obviously this has happened at Hollingwood Lake near me, and Hollingwood Lake's a beauty spot. And obviously, if there's work that has to be done and they've got to drain the water, then that's fair enough. So maybe there's work being done to the dam and they need the water at a certain level. I don't think this is natural by any means. This must be not a deliberate act, but obviously I can only assume, yeah, they need to work on the dam, or they need to uh, inspect the dam. I'm only guessing again at this point. I don't know this for a fact. But having said all that, you can see the features that's left over, especially in here, around here. And we can get closer to where the water's passing through. I'm just trying to point out here that I think it's safe where I am, and lower down there where the water is, it's probably like sinking sand. You could probably get stuck down there, and it's, I can only assume that to be the case until I throw a brick down, and we can obviously look at the features as well at the arch really of the Packhorse Trail. And it's mad how they would have made that arch. I don't know how they would have done that and what equipment they would have used to make that perfect. I would have said like the perfect incision, because that would have been measured, I would have thought, and it's perfectly symmetrical, if that makes sense. So I just want to mention here that this is where I was last time when I came. I just can't remember if I managed to get all the way in. but you can see a big footmark there where someone's tried to get across. Obviously, it looks like they've got across, but you can see they've gone down maybe 3 foot or so. But this is great to see these features, and you can see how long the water. There's been no water for it. Must have been here for at least 3 months for it to look like this. And that early video I showed you at the start, there was much more water than there is now. So I'm just spectating here, but what impact will this have if there's no work being done and this reservoir completely empties? What impact will that have? Or is this actually going to be the case and the water scheduled to be replaced by whoever's carrying out the works, which I could only guess could be United Utilities, but I don't actually know because I know it's Yorkshire, so I don't know if United Utilities cover Yorkshire. I don't know if it's like Yorkshire Water or whatever, but I'm not complaining, I'm just trying to show the features of this video. But obviously there are questions that, need to be asked, really. Well, I'm not from the area, so it's nothing to do with me, really. But I mean, I do have these questions when I come to places like this. But they're not that important. They don't obviously need answers, but it's just one of these things. It's happened before, so it's probably... I actually seen, I think it was BBC, actually. They were here not long ago. And then I think I seen something the other day. I was like, I'm gonna have to come and have a look for myself. And you can see for yourself, I'm going to have to look at the last footage just to try and compare it to see which was lowest. But it's mad how this area almost loses its water so quickly. It's almost like it's being done deliberately. Now, I don't know if it is being done deliberately or not, but why is it losing so much water so quickly? It's just a question out there that I'd like to know, really. You can speculate and say it's a drought, it's the sun, it's Yorkshire Water taking the water from here to take it somewhere else. I don't actually know if that's a fact or not. I'm just speculating. But where is the water actually going? Because this is, for me, there's no way, this summer's done this to this water. I just can't see it, to be honest. I know there's other droughts and stuff like that, but we've had worse summers than this in the lifetime I've been alive. But not seen it as bad as this. Now, that's just me, my opinion, really, and what I think. Some people might agree, some people might not agree, but equally we'll carry on having a walk around, and I want to show you the dam. It's mad, that story how the girl was stood on the wall. I think she was only a little girl. So this is the incident that I'm talking about. This was recently, this year. I can't remember actually when it was, but I know it's recent. So I'm not going to comment too much on this because I really don't know the facts apart from what we can see here. So I'm not going to make really any comment apart from it's a real sad loss because this obviously had an impact on the community. So there's actually a path. So I have to walk on the road, which is good. So if you're coming here, then you know which way to go. Look at that. All that would be submerged usually, and that rock, the rock looks like maybe it was a quarry one time. I'm not sure, but I don't think that's obviously been cut out at some point. The way the rock's exposed like that. I wouldn't say it's a mega busy place, this, which is good if you want to make a video and stuff. It's not like really popular places like Allenworth Lake and York that I've been to like recently this year. And it's almost impossible to film because there's that many people. Now you can film in a public place, that's fine. You know, you don't need permission off anyone. But it's just the fact that it's up to me that decides who's in the video or not. You know, I don't really like having people I don't know, or they don't know what's going on in a video. It's just like it's perfectly fine, but it's just something I don't like to do. So let's go down here, and have a quick look down here. So I have to do another voiceover here because of the wind, funny enough. I don't know why it's so windy actually here. I mean, I know Halifax can be quite windy, but it's a really sunny day. Anyway, what I'm pointing out here is obviously the water level's dropped and where it was recently and where it is now. And I'd say, there's probably, I can see recently where the water's been up to, like within the last 6 weeks. That dark patch there, I can just see in front of me. And obviously, this water loss has been quite significant, if you ask me. Now, I'm not from the area, and there were people that know this location better than me, so I just wanted to make that a statement as well. But that's another line where the water once was recently, and I'm talking probably within the last 6 to 10 weeks. And the stones obviously got iron on here, funny enough, and I don't know why that is. There might be an iron mine nearby, I would have thought, but I'm only spectating why there's it appears to be iron on the rocks. Obviously, I can see the marks on the other side as well, where the water again once was. It's really easy to see if you know what you're looking for. And obviously, I want to go down now to have a look to where the water actually is now. And it's mad, because some of the soil where the water once was is just totally cracked and so dry, it's unreal. So I don't know much about wildlife and stuff like that, but I don't know what impact this has with this significant water loss. I mean, that's just another question I have. I'm sure there's people in the area that know more about than this and me. I'm not trying to make a big deal out of this. I'm just trying to say I wonder what the impacts are of this low water level. So the wind continues to pepper the camera as I'm walking forward. It's mad this on a summer's day where I'm having to do voiceovers. But I'll narrate further anyway as we look further into the reservoir, what's left of it, and the dam, and the drop that you can see from the top to the bottom. Now, the last time I recall coming here is 2022, and I think this is actually worse than when I came last time. And here I'm just trying to point out it appears to be another Packhorse trail, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, that's either that or it's a culvert for some kind of water to come through, but it's rather dry at the minute, as you can see. So I'm not familiar with the history of the area really, if this used to be something before the dam. So I'm gonna look at that as well to see if there's anything historic of the area that's got any significance to the features that we can see today. But equally, the dam's really impressive, especially when the water's this low, because you can imagine how hard it would have been to obviously construct that dam, and obviously it would have been quite a task to say the least. So here I'm just pointing out the tip of the dam really and trying to explain the height really of the dam and the where the traffic comes across, which is always cool to see actually when the water level's this low to get this kind of shot really. Obviously, I wanted to point out the three different colorations in the camera shot here. You've got more of the dark patch where the water's come down probably within the last maybe 14 to 18 days, and it goes a bit lighter up ahead on the camera, and then up ahead again further to the right hand side you can see maybe the last 6 months where the water's been up to. And this is I want to show you the cracking in the soil and how much it's really dried up. And then it leads to the next question as well, like how long would it take at this rate for it to be completely empty? So it's not often I get to do videos like this where I don't have to use night vision, I don't have to use ghost tube, I don't have to use any specialist equipment, I don't even need a torch. Videos like this are so easy to make, like I mentioned before, so it's just nice to make it this. Oh shite! Yeah, that's fucking a bit deep, that one, I thought so. Yeah, nearly fucking... I better walk up this way. I don't know why that's so wet, I think it's because obviously there's water running down. Definitely don't want to end up in there. So I'm going to show you this for a second time, but just slow motion really. And this is where the water's up to when the concrete gap is there and it just goes down the dam, if that makes sense, which I showed you at the beginning. And that's where the water goes, it goes downwards. I'll show you again later on as the video progresses. You can obviously see the white railings on the wall as well. I just wanted to point that out in this video. And that's just to stop people standing on the wall. I had to say that actually because that's true. That's why that's one of the white barriers are there on top of the wall. So let's carry on talking about the water, in fact, and the levels of the water where they once was. I think this would have been taken probably like round about last year. I don't think this has been taken this year, but I'm just guessing. But I just obviously wanted to show you the water level and what happens when the water goes over the goes through the concrete block and goes down the dam. So if you're not from the area, let me show you a shot of this where the water goes. It goes through the concrete gap underneath the public pathway, obviously above, and down this dam here. It goes down there into that water outage and then into another reservoir. I would assume that's where the water goes because I did see another reservoir on the way here. When you're on this bridge, if you look further down, you can see it, and I'm assuming that's where the water goes. And obviously, like I mentioned before, I just wanted to show you this shot of, I assume it to be last year when the water was quite high, but I'm not sure on the date, but the date don't really matter, it's the water levels I'm trying to show you, and the shot of what this usually should look like when the water's so high. So you can see the difference here. Obviously, the the water in the last shot was up to the gaps, which I'd say maybe that's 40, 50 foot drop if you ask me, if not probably more, maybe 60, 70. And it's madness at how they constructed the dam. The white thing you can see in the water, I wondered what that was, but it's just algae that's, I'm assuming it's building up there as the water levels drop. So obviously this is a close-up shot of the dam itself. I don't know what that concrete block is. I've got no idea what that is. I'm sure it's something to do with the dam, but again, I'm not sure. But it's got steel rods in it, so obviously some kind of engineering work. So again, we're only spectating here that they've drained it because there's work. Sorry, I'll just finish off what we're saying there. So I was spectating that they've drained the water because there's some kind of work that's going on, or maybe they need to inspect the dam itself. But there doesn't appear to be any work gear out, and there doesn't appear to be any contractors on site. Now, again, I'm only spectating this, so I don't know that for a fact. But either way, you can see the dam for itself, and obviously it's withstood the test of time, if you ask me, because it's held its purpose for the time that it's been put here. So let's see what history we can find out about the Baitings dam when it was made and who made it or whatever. But first of all, before we do that, let's just have a look at the water levels a bit more. As you can see, the darker patches, although you can tell here it's quite safe to walk down, but nothing beats looking at the height of that dam and the task that it would have been I would have thought, to make that dam. I mean, you're looking at something like 30 years, I would have thought, to make something like that with the technology they had back then. Now, I don't think this is like a modern dam from the 20th century. It looks more Victorian style. Now, I'm going to Google now So as you can see, it was built in 1956 as part of the Wakefield Cooperation Waterworks project. So this was built to supply the water of Wakefield, and this will be done through the River Ryburn. And it was reportedly the highest reservoir, or the highest dam in England at its time, which is obviously the 1950s. So the dam sits at an impressive 255 feet high, which is quite impressive for that time era. So construction started on the 1930s, which I would assume it almost took 30 years to make, which is what I was guessing before. So it says in the 1950s that there was competition for constructions of Baitings Dam and the reservoir. So obviously it talks about the historical significance, which we was talking about before with the Packhorse Trail and the history of this area. And it obviously goes on to mention about drought revealing history, which we're talking about in this video, which we've shown. So there was also motorsports as well with the hill climbs, it says, and they were deemed too dangerous in 2002, but I'm sure that would have been fun, riding around on a quad or a motorbike. So then it goes on to talk about low water levels, which is what we're talking about in this video, and the Packhorse Bridge, which we have covered already. So it says there's a history of the drought in this area. They use the word drought actually, but I'm not quite sure on that.
So not a long video this one, but I feel I have to cover it obviously with the season because summer's coming to an end now. the first sign you see is danger, fall from height, which is what I was talking about actually. And we see some lovely sheep here, look. This one's got a funny coat, look. It's a black sheep of the family, this one. So let's walk the... So, to get me right, yeah, this story can't be true because she would have had to stand on this railing, right? Unless that's new, and that's not new, you can tell with the algae. So I'm going to Google this story to make sure it's true. That's why they're there, I would have thought, to stop you standing on the wall. I think it's just a build-up of algae, that white stuff. And that is the water levels on the 15th of August 2025. Maybe that story's true after all, because there's a memorial thing here. Yeah. I think it's true, that story. So we better get a move on if I'm going to get home in time. So this is it, Baitings Dam. So I'm sure you can all see in this video that the water levels are drastically low. And that's the end of the video. Nice easy video, just to show you Baitings Dam, and hopefully see you soon.